Wales Book of the Year have announced their English language shortlist, and whilst this isn't a prize I've followed before, I have made it a personal goal to read all of the previous winners of Wales Book of the Year. So given that this shortlist has come across my social media feed today, I thought we could have a look at the books together and see what they sound like. Now, there are a few categories for which there is a shortlist. There's poetry, non-fiction, fiction, Welsh language and children's and young people's books. Now, I don't read in Welsh, I don't speak Welsh unfortunately, and I don't read children's and young people's books, so I'm going to focus on the poetry, non-fiction and fiction shortlists today. But if you're interested in those other categories, I'll make sure to add the link so that you can check those out in the description. What am I doing? Okay, so starting with poetry, the first book shortlisted is In Orbit by Glyn Edwards. It's published by Seren Press. On receiving news of a beloved teacher's death, a man struggles with the loss of a relationship sustained by deep admiration and unrequited love. Memories of their shared journey are separated into 3 orbits where the man's past, present, future are punctuated by intense grief. In Orbit uses a variety of innovative forms to explore loss, from traditional stanzas to prose poems to shaped poems in the form of birds, circuits or hands. The narrative shifts in time, moving from his teen years to the present day when he himself has become a teacher, working alongside the man he mourns. The book not only grieves the loss of the teacher but also toxic standards for boys and men. Beyond human connection, sustenance is found in the moon, the stars, the sky and nature. The discovery of a badger's track or the treasure of a bird egg reminds us how small trajectories are in the context of the more than human, an answer perhaps to the grieving process. The next book shortlisted in the poetry section is I Think We're Alone Now by Abigail Parry, published by Blood Axe Books. I Think We're Alone Now was supposed to be a book about intimacy, what it might look like in solitude, in partnership, and in terms of collective responsibility. Instead, the poems are preoccupied with pop music, etymology, surveillance equipment and cervical examination, church architecture and Beatles. Just about anything, in fact, except what intimacy is or looks like. So this is a book that runs on failure, and also a book about failures, of language to do what we want, of connection to be meaningful or mutual, and of the analytic approach to say anything useful about what we are to one another. Here are abrupt estrangements and errors of translation, frustrations and ellipses, failed investigations, and Beatles. The next book shortlisted in the poetry section is Cowboy by Candice Siobhan Walker, published by Cheerio Publishing. The poems in Cowboy are knowing, millennial, internet sick, funny, but there are deeper undercurrents too of embodied and disembodied spiritualities, of the knowledge of animals, of familial mythologies, of grief and longing, of autism and navigating diagnoses, of early and enduring disappointment, of the wildness underneath the smooth glass and chrome surfaces of contemporary life. So they all sound really smashing. I'd be really keen to read any of those if they were our winners. Next, let's look at the non-fiction shortlist. The first of these is San Helen by Tom Bullough, published by Granta Publications. This is the account of Tom Bullow's journey along San Helen, Helen's Causeway, the old Roman road that runs from the south of Wales to the north. As Bullough walks on the route, he explores the political, cultural and mythical history of this small country that has been divided by language and geography. Woven into this journey are conversations with climate scientists and the story of Tom's engagement with the urgent issue of the climate crisis, showing us its likely impact on Wales, which is, in miniature, a version of what lies ahead for us all. Next on our non-fiction shortlist is Birdsplaining, a natural history by Jasmine Donaghy, published by New Welsh Rabbi. A wren in the house foretells a death, while a tech-loving parrot aids a woman's recovery. Crow's misbehaviour suggests how the natural order ranked by men may be challenged. Whose poo is the mammal scat uncovered in the attic, and should the swallows make their home inside yours? The nightjar's churring brings on unease at racism and privilege dividing nature lovers, past and present. The skin of a Palestine sunbird provokes concern at the colonial origins of ornithology, and when a sparrowhawk makes a move on a murmuration, the starlings show how threats in the shape of flood, climate change or illness may be faced down. Jasmine Donaghy is in pursuit of feeling sharply dive, understandably things on her own terms and undoing old lessons about how to behave. Here she finally confronts fear of violence and of the body's betrayals, daring at last to get things wrong. Roaming across Wales, Scotland and California, she is unapologetically focused on the uniqueness of women's experience of nature and the constraints placed upon it, sometimes bristling, always ethical, birdsplaining appends familiar ways of seeing the natural world. And the last book on our non-fiction shortlist is Spring Rain by Mark Hamer, published by Harvill Secker. In Spring Rain, writer and gardener Mark Hamer shares his path from difficult beginnings to contentment by way of family gardens. As a young boy in a violent home, Mark found refuge in his small back garden. Here he kindled a lifelong love of nature and learning by observing the plants and insects in his private kingdom and reading the old encyclopedias he found in the shed. Mark has always found the answers to life's questions in the natural world, whether as a child watching ants, as a young man living rough in a countryside, or as a professional gardener creating places of calm and restoration for others. Now in his 60s, he is finally creating a garden for himself at his home in Cardiff. In this beautiful and moving memoir, he considers what he has learned from the spring of youth to his autumn years and reflects on how we reconcile our childhood with where we end up. With line drawings by the author, Spring Rain encourages us back in tune with the natural world and offers both consolation and a guide to a happier life. Gosh, that sounds absolutely bloody brilliant. Count me in. And last up we have the Fiction Awards. So first of these is the only book on this list that I've heard of. No, I'd heard of Birdsplaining. I was tempted to go to one of the book events for this book. I'll tell you what it is. It's Neon Roses by Rachel Dawson, published by John Murray. But it was clashing with something else and I was absolutely gutted to have missed out because listen to this book sounds absolutely bloody brilliant. Alina Hughes is stuck. It's 1984 in a valley in South Wales. The miners' strike is ravaging her community. Her sister swanned off with a Thatcherite policeman and her boyfriend Lloyd keeps bringing up marriage. And if they play 99 Red Balloons on the radio one more time, she might just lose her mind. Then the fundraising group Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners comes down from London and she meets June, a snaggletooth blonde in a too big leather jacket. Suddenly, Alina isn't stuck anymore. She's in freefall. June's an artist and an activist. With June, Alina can imagine a completely different life for herself. But as her family struggles with the strike and her relationship with her sister deteriorates, should she really leave it all behind? From the valleys to the nightclubs of Cardiff, London and Manchester, Neon Roses is a heartwarming, funny and a little bit filthy queer coming of age with a cracking 80s soundtrack. How good does that sound? Okay, also shortlisted in the fiction category is The Unbroken Beauty of Rosalind Bone by Alex McCarthy, out by Doubleday. Tucked into the Welsh valleys and encircled by silver birch and pine, the village of Cwm may appear a quiet, sleepy sort of place, but beneath the surface tensions simmer, hearts ache and painful truths threaten to emerge. 16-year-old Catherine Bone knows only what she has been told. Now she is beginning to question her small world and a version of the past that seems to entrap and embitter her reclusive Mother Mary. The sins of the past are approaching, for it takes a village to raise a child, to bring down a woman, to hide something monstrous, and to look the other way. In this tender, sly, exquisitely wrought novella, a unique cast of characters give voice to their versions of the truth, but is the story of Rosalind Bone, of her strength and of all that she has endured, that rises above the rest, shimmering with hope and possibility. And last but not least, shortlisted in the fiction category is Stray Dogs by Richard John Parfitt, published by Third Man Books. Turner is a high school dropout newly arrived in Toronto. After taking a job selling dictionaries for a local grifter named Romeo Silver, the day goes wrong and Turner gets into a fight with a biker. On the run from both Romeo and the Devil's Children, Turner and his pals find an abandoned summer house in which to hide out, but tensions within the group damage personal relationships as external threats converge to destroy the lives they had. Well, I don't know about you, but I think they all sound absolutely bloody brilliant. I haven't read from this shortlist before. I'd be really tempted to if I had the time. We'll see. The winner is announced in July, so yeah, do check out the categories and all of these books if you're interested. I'll certainly be reading the winner at the very least. Thanks so much for being here. I'm really grateful for you.